Good morning, pregame crew. How are ya? It's Friday, March 10th, 2023, 8:21 a.m. Eastern, 6:21 a.m. Mountain Time. We're expecting non-farm payrolls in 9 minutes. The forecast is 205,000 jobs. We'll go over that and what that means. I have so much to say today. So little time to say it. I will go over about 25 charts in 25 minutes when I officially get started in 9 minutes. Between now and then, I'm going to say hello to my friends, do a couple chart requests. Thank you, Bob. I appreciate it. Good morning, Greg. Hey, Carlos. Most likely scenario. I'll have to go back over your question, Carlos. Hey, Kasna, George. Hey, Roger. I hope you have a good weekend. Hey, Topher, Night Truck Homebody, Card Lady, Casey, Serrana, Sam, Josh, Basque, Sir Fernando, B-Hawk, Tess, Mal, Rachel. Hi, Andre. Card Lady, that's why I'm here. I'm going to tell you what's going on with the market from my perspective. Okay. So, Carlos, first of all, I commend you on asking a question with putting your thesis in the question. If everybody can look at Carlos JF's question here. Crypto weak names as Sol USDT most likely scenario would be hourly and 4-hour lower high, right? You have your eyes on 5-minute, 15-minute, 60-minute overbought conditions, I'm assuming, to top fish that 4-hour lower high. Yes, and that's the perfect way to ask a question. Put what you think is going to happen or from your analysis what the most likely scenario is, and then ask to poke holes in that thesis. That's how you will accelerate your learning. So wonderful job on asking a great question. And yes, you're spot on. Let's just go look at it and look at some levels. Yes, 4-hour, that's funny. Were we here yesterday? No. 4-hour lower high anticipated, hourly lower high anticipated. Look at that 50 RSI continues to nuke price. That's correct. That's what I would be looking at, Carlos. Thank you, George. I'm glad to be back from my vacay. It's nice to be home, to be back home in my job and what I do, be here with y'all. If you could hit that like button, I'd greatly appreciate it. XLF is weighing on the market. There was some fear of bank contagion going around yesterday with the banks dropping so hard on the SIVB news that maybe a lot of people would pull their money out of the banks. Think of what happened to FTX, where everybody made a run basically on FTX and then uncovered the mess that was underneath. They didn't have enough money to give people their money back. And that is what presumably, well, I'm not going to say that's what was going to happen with SIVB, but that's why they did the offering yesterday so they could get money. And it just concerned people, hey, should we go, is there going to be a run on banks? So XLF is definitely weighing on the market. There's so many things under the hood that we will all never understand because, first of all, unless you are a very, very up-to-date economist, then otherwise it's tough to know what all the stuff going on under the hood. And do economists all have the answers? No, because they don't understand crowd psychology when it comes to the stock market. So it would take one savvy person to understand it all. Good morning. So that's what's going on with the bank's chilly effect. Hey, Bobo. Hey, Sal. Hey, my first rodeo. So investing.com right here. I have it pulled up. 205,000 is the forecast. The actual will populate pretty quickly thereafter in 8 minutes, and we'll get the data. And we have to be prepared for all scenarios. So just know, if it comes in higher than expected, more jobs were created, that means the Fed is their interventions are not working, presumably. If it comes in lower than expectations, that means the Fed interventions are working and consumer spending should come down. That is in theory. If it were to pop up to 30-minute overbought, 15-minute overbought, what do you think is going to happen? Overall trends are down. So even bullish reactions will give decent setups for bears to top fish. So I'm looking bearish either way, but it doesn't mean I know what's going to happen. I'm just going to react. And that's okay. It's literally the most freeing thing on earth in trading, and it really is freeing in life when you just give up the need to know. You just give up and then you just say, you know what? I don't need to know. I'm just going to react. Good morning. Let's look. So we're going to look at SPX, all right? We had rollover last night, contract rollover, and I could do a whole pregame show on contract rollover, but I'll save you the pain of listening to me go over contract rollover, and we'll just look at SPX 500 USD instead of ES. So ES rolled over. I said I'm not going to go into it, but I'll at least show you the letters. So here, ES rolled over from March to June last night. And then it looked like we had a gap up at 6 p.m. Eastern when in fact we just had a rollover. So I'll just go with SPX for apples to apples. Bottom line is we have a potential 4-hour bear flag. If we were to pop up and hit 39.33, that is the 4-hour 8 EMA. And I'm assuming we would have bears waiting in this area to top fish. And yesterday, that 15-minute overbought conditions that we discussed in pre-market yesterday presented the perfect short opportunity yesterday. Perfection. Again, did I know what was going to happen yesterday? No, but you're ready for all scenarios and you say, if this happens, then I'll look for top fish. Then look at this beautiful little, oh, that didn't draw it. 15-minute lower high right there. Little 15-minute lower high provided a great opportunity to top fish. So your support is the low overnight on SPX. Well, I guess I could use 3898, then 3885, 38814. Resistance 391770 and 3933. So we're going to be ready for that reaction. Let's see. Do I have time to look at CRM for my first rodeo? We're approaching that 0.618 retracement. Had a big reaction to earnings, giving a lot of it back. 175.38 was a prior high. That could act as support. You're in no man's land down here. I don't like it long at all. I like top fishings for short on that name if it were me. All right. Let's get ready to rumble. The table was 121. So we're looking overall bearish. This is what I typed yesterday, and man, did that work out. All right. 15 seconds. No problem, boater. Can't believe I just said that out loud. Good morning, Ed. All right, data is out. 311,000, that is bearish. So we have 50% more jobs created in February than what were anticipated. And the market is reacting bearishly as you would anticipate. However, it doesn't mean just because that was bearish that it will stay bearish for the rest of the day. Dollar must be dropping hard. Yep. Man, that was a quick reversal on ES. (15-minute) RSI 64 on SPX, not overbought yet. Not overbought yet. This may be the perfect storm for bulls. Just don't assume what you think is going to happen will happen. It's just a misnomer when it comes to the market. All right, let's get started. Good morning. Welcome to the pregame show. This is who I am, Charkow Lori. If you want to give me a follow on Twitter at Charkow Lori, that would be great. And I'm part of the Chart Guys community, and what I do here every morning is I go over indices, commodities, crypto movers and shakers of the day. And what I do at TCG is we teach technical analysis, and we teach you how to approach the market with proper risk management and developing thesis on most likely scenario. Nice reversal. Nice reversal. Unemployment was 3.6, so that was higher than the forecast. That means the Fed interventions may be working. So that was a little bit of positive market news, bearish for people in general, that there are more people unemployed. However, maybe the Fed intervention is working ever so slightly. All right. Good morning, AO. Oh, Slow Devil, you don't mean that. Slow Devil says he wished the market would go back to boring. The volatility provides great opportunity, and what, in my opinion, I think there's a top fish opportunity here on ES. Right here, I'm just going to go to the ES number at 39.65. I think there's a top fish. You put your stop over the high of this reaction. So what I think in 2020, when COVID happened, we had a lot of new traders come out of the woodwork to trade because they were home. They were able to work remotely. They were trying to make a side income for their family, trying to nail the bottom of that big drop. They got pretty successful with GameStop, AMC, and then the market volatility as of late has just been flushing all of them out, in my opinion. So I think we've had the great flush out of retail traders, for the most part, or newer retail traders that entered the market over the last couple years. All right, so you should be in the money 7 points so far on that short. Exactly, Adam. I don't think it shows like a 0.9 or whatever. That exactly, Matt. That's what I just said. Unemployment went up. All right. So I'm going to show you my notes today. Typically, I reserve these notes for TCG members only. Today, I'm going to show them to you. Hang Seng was down 3% overnight. DAX was down 1.59%. And I would say that would be an after effect of the market yesterday. The XLF bank fears spurred by SIVB caused a lot of fears yesterday. XLF took a absolute throttling yesterday, and I would look for XLF as my number one idea for the day for top fishing reverse back burners, and I'll go over that and what that means. All right, it is reverse back burner day. Any name that was super weak yesterday, especially if it was down 4 or 5%, that name automatically goes on my reverse back burner list, and I say, okay, first 5 or 15 minute overbought conditions, I'm going to short that mess. And it's not an absolute will short. I'm going to go look for a short, and then you wait for the setup to come to you, like 2-minute trend change to the downside after 15-minute overbought on a name that was down 5% yesterday. And you have to connect all of those dots. So as long as all major sectors are at low of day, you don't go for those reversals, meaning you don't go for longs when all major sectors are at the low of day. And that's what happened early on yesterday. We finally got that rollover in XLK. Then XLK joined everyone else to the low of the day. And then it was game on for bears. So being able to read the room and say, you know what, this just isn't a bottom fish day is super important. When market internals are screaming bearish, ticks sustained below 600, ADD trending down, you stay with the trend. So we just went over that. And then this is just something I wanted to throw out there. I know that I harp on different correlations when we look here. I didn't check off dollar or VIX or bonds. All three of those are not behaving as they should. What does that mean? Well, I like to use analogies. This is probably not the best analogy I could come up with, but you know how you come home and you tell your wife, hey, honey, I spent $500 today. I bought a new whatever, gadget, a new toy. I spent $500. We didn't talk about it, but I spent it. And your wife says, okay, no problem. And then goes about her business. How much trouble are you in when she just acts normally? You know that correlation normally. Spend $500 on a stupid toy. Sorry, not stupid to you probably. Stupid toy. The wife is going to get PO'd. When should happen doesn't happen, it's like, oh crap, there is something big going under the hood. Either the wife is having an affair or she spent $500 on something she shouldn't. Something's going on under the hood. That's what's going on right now. We have correlations when this happens, that should happen, that aren't happening. Bonds aren't behaving correctly. The dollar isn't behaving correctly. Gold isn't behaving correctly. When that happens, there's something major going on under the hood. Exactly. Absolutely, John. That makes sense. Aw, JP. All right. So that was just a funny, I tried it for it to be funny, little analogy on how to remember that just because, if dollar is screaming up and the market's screaming up, that's not necessarily good. That could be a sign of something bigger happening. Bitcoin went down. Looks like it's reversing. Yeah, Bitcoin's reversing. Okay, now the market's coming in a little bit. All right, and then gap rules. I went over this last week, and I had so many of you come back to me and say, wow, this helped me a ton. And I went over it yesterday, and I'm going to go over it today. If a gap fills early on and then returns to prior range, the gap means less. The gap has less holding power. If a gap is unable to fill within the first 30 minutes, it shows the strength of the overnight trend. So when I get to the actual stock names, we'll go over any that have gaps and we'll look at what those rules mean. Okay. So we have 4-hour potential bear flags on all 4 major indices. You see how NASDAQ is making its way over that 0.382, 12222, right there. So just because we get a break above on the hourly does not mean we have that 4-hour bear flag is not legitimate, because we have those peak above and fails all the time. Yesterday, anybody remember? I think it looked better on the 12-hour. We had a little bear flag right here yesterday. And then we had a little spike above and we're like, oh, that looks great. Look what it did. It peaked above 4037, then broke above 403950, then rejected. So bear flags can have bull spikes and they still resolve to the downside. So don't get overly smitten with the spike up. Okay, now we're approaching 15 overbought. Same rule applies. As long as this 397825 holds, I'm looking bearish. The high of the initial reaction, as long as it holds, I would lean more bearish because of how the overall market structure is. And here, I just wanted to point out to you that the dollar, VIX, and bonds were not reading correctly this morning. I could not get a good read from them, so I left them off my table. But that does tell me something, that there could be trouble in paradise, trouble under the hood. Okay. And then basically any name with hourly EMAs overhead, which I wrote that yesterday over here, and then I deleted it. You stay bearish as long as those hourly EMAs are overhead. You stay bearish. Okay, I think we covered everything here. I'm going to move that. All right, so 397825. If the bulls can push above 397825, that's a big statement to the bears saying we're ready to fight. We took a break yesterday. We're ready to fight today. So let's see what happens to 397825. I have it pulled up on another screen and we will keep a watch on it. You know what I need to do though? I need to give you all the calculation of what keeps a bear flag alive. 3972, that keeps a bear flag alive. NASDAQ 12222.25 keeps a bear flag alive. RTY 1836.50 keeps a bear flag alive. And RTY is super weak. Let's think through this. Why would RTY lead the way? You remember yesterday we had this highlighted here? I didn't change my highlighted things here from yesterday. Bitcoin and RTY. What do those two items represent? They represent risk on names. When money is flowing to Bitcoin and IWM like small caps, that's people are ready to potentially put money to work in speculative areas. Yesterday that told us, hey, something doesn't smell right. Bitcoin and RTY. Same thing is happening today. Bitcoin and RTY are leading the way to the downside. Hey, Catahoula, are you from Louisiana? I was talking about a Catahoula cur last week. All right. And then YM is super weak because of banks. I read a statistic yesterday that the drop in the major 4 banks in the Dow represented a $47 billion decrease in market cap, or it was something crazy like that. Yeah, that would be right. Yeah, that could be right. So 32639 keeps a bear flag alive on Dow. Okay, Bitcoin is over the high of the reaction. That is bullish for the market. Bitcoin is over the high of the reaction. That's a risk-off asset. That is bullish for the market. As always, be prepared for all scenarios. All right. VIX had a double top when I was looking at it earlier with 2363 and 2349. That is helping the market. DAX is now down 1.35%. Is trying to recover a little bit from earlier. When I looked at it, it was down 1.6. Let me show you. Bitcoin is over the high of the reaction. That is bullish for the market. But in my opinion, Bitcoin needs the market to follow its lead. If the market doesn't get over the high of the reaction, I wouldn't think that this Bitcoin move would be sustained. Okay. A 4-hour bear flag stays alive for Bitcoin as long as we're below 20430. 20430. And on most of these indices, Bitcoin, whatever you're looking at a daily lower high is the more likely scenario. So if you're looking for a daily lower high, what time frame do you go to looking for a reverse back burner? You're looking for overbought conditions. A gold star to whoever answers this. If you're looking for a daily lower high on a name that's bouncing and you're watching for overbought conditions, what time frame do you look at to possibly nail that daily lower high? What lower time frame gives you the best signal? Close, Paul. Yep. Tomato juice. Ding, 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 ding. Hourly. You got it. So hourly overbought conditions on Bitcoin. If you trade Bitcoin, this is what I would do. Hey, let me know when that RSI, and I would even look at a potential front run. Tell me when that RSI gets to 69.70 for a potential top fish on Bitcoin. Yep. Trey got it. I see all my TCGers in here. All right. So Bitcoin, I gave you that number. Let me just 20430. Ethereum 1437.14 keeps a bear flag alive. Okay, ES is up testing the high of the reaction. Gold has changed the 4-hour trend to the upside. However, a daily lower high is still the more likely scenario, but bulls are really making a valiant attempt here. Valiant? Yeah, valiant. It's over the high of the reaction. Yeah, it's over the high of the reaction. The next resistance is 1856.90. Sorry about all these alerts. Sorry, not sorry. Okay, oil is bouncing. So oil is bouncing. Gold is bouncing. Why? Because the dollar is dumping. Dollar is now hourly oversold. Looking for a daily higher low, but that ship done sailed. So yesterday morning, we were looking for a daily higher low on dollar. Hourly got oversold. I put it in commodities channel as a potential trade setup and it bounced. It was a perfect bottom fish on dollar. So now the dollar oversold means less because it already happened here. I know it didn't actually stay oversold, but it crossed oversold and then closed above it. But it already happened here. So now, what would 4-hour oversold look like? 104.3530. Do y'all see that? Am I making any sense? 104.35 would be 4-hour oversold and would still make for a daily higher low. So just keep that in mind, 104.35. So tell me if dollar gets oversold on the 4-hour, and that would be a much higher probability bottom fish on dollar. Great Wall, Louisiana, that's right. Marshall, yes, back burner video. And I will admit I've been doing this pregame show. Next month will be 2 years. That last fall, I started using the concept of reverse back burner, and I've mentioned it more in the last month than I ever have. Because, when you're in bearish conditions, you got to be able to read the room. And I like when multiple factors line up. And if a back burner is something that I can add to my toolkit in addition to price action, in addition to fib, in addition to EMAs, I'll take it. If it'll give me an extra edge, I'll take it. Yeah, hit the like button if I'm making sense. No. Flecky, great question, but no, typically you're looking for hourly overbought for a daily lower high. And we have I know you're a member, so I'm going to slow down and answer this for you. So we have Jungle Funk has posted it a couple times, where if you're looking for a weekly higher low, lower high, whatever, what time frame do you refer to? 4-hour. Okay, turn the magnet off. Daily, hourly. And then if you're looking for an hourly higher low, it goes through and helps you either 5 or 15 minute. But we have a table to this effect. If you want to look, it should be pinned in our beginners questions. It should be pinned. All right, now back to the regularly scheduled program. So gold we went over. Let's go over nat gas. Nat gas, 4-hour downtrend. What a yucky chart. Ugh. I did not trade nat gas yesterday. I didn't trade as much as I normally do because it was my first day back from vacation. But I did not see any commodity setup that I liked this morning. None. The dollar setup is the only one I like if we get to 4-hour oversold. Okay, now the market's coming in. Okay, did you see that, y'all? ES couldn't get over the high of the reaction. Bitcoin move is not going to have staying power, or it's very hard for it to have staying power if ES doesn't get over the high of the reaction. So if you're a Bitcoin bull and you bought that dip and you're in the green, keep your good eye on ES and make sure it gets over that high of this reaction, or this move may not have staying power. Apple. You're welcome. Oh, Joey's webinar. Oh, thank you, Ed. Exactly. Joey did a whole webinar on using time frames, different time frames for the most likely scenarios, and it was awesome. All right. We're testing EMAs overhead. 15-minute not yet overbought. Y'all look at that. Look at that head and shoulders on RSI. And 15-minute got overbought. Down. So I will be watching 15-minute overbought for a potential top fish. There's one thing though. One little caveat to all these top fish ideas. What happened yesterday? We wiped out the order book with how fast we came down. So we're really in an area without a lot of resistance. So the bounce can go further than we think it can. So stay cautious. Let's see. And the next gap down below on Apple, 14671. We filled this gap yesterday of 151.11, and now we have another gap below that. And we have the daily 200 MA at 147.43. Oh, I wanted to go over that. Shoot. QQQ is at the daily 50 and 200 MA. Do you see it? That's pretty important that we hold that. Super important. It could act as strong support. Shabazz, I do not know. I do not know the answer to that. I don't know. I wouldn't say that causation, if we're looking for correlation and causation, I would not look for, sorry, y'all, I just like answering people's questions. Some days I don't have time and other times I do. I can't see GBTC fueling Bitcoin. It's the other way around. BTC fuels GBTC. And I'm not familiar with that legal proceeding. I've heard rumblings of it, but I'm not familiar with it. I would not think that GBTC could push Bitcoin because it's a derivative. Its value is derived from Bitcoin. So understand what's a derivative, then you know who's the boss. All right, Amazon. Amazon was an interesting bird yesterday. I didn't trade it, but this morning I was looking at it and like, wow, it hit a double bottom yesterday. Did y'all see that? It hit a double bottom, 92.18, 92.18. So yes, we had the most hideous upper wick in the history of upper wicks. It's actually not the most hideous, but it's pretty bad. Yet we still held the prior day low. So it rejected from the daily 50 MA, but that was a pretty big stance. So if we open, so you see how we dipped below yesterday's low and now we're back up inside yesterday's range, meaning there's no longer a gap down. Apple, there's no longer a gap down. Nvidia, there's no longer a gap down. Tesla, there's no longer a gap down. So now the gap rules are not in play. Nvidia, if you took that trade idea from yesterday, I think I had it drawn on the 6 hour, the rising wedge, you should have made some money. And it showed ultimate weakness compared to the market. Look at that bear divergence. Oof. God, I love trading. Look here. RSI made a lower high. And price made a higher high. Do you see that? And 15-minute got overbought. Ideal conditions for a top fish. And just keep going back. Study charts. And then the next time you see that, you're going to be like, oh, I remember that. That crazy lady Lori was talking about that. Okay, Tesla. 15-minute got overbought. Odds favor a lower high compared to yesterday. If the bulls were able to take out the high of yesterday, that would be outside bars, and that would be a huge statement from the bulls. But we're just going to take this one time frame at a time, and right now 15-minute got overbought, and that typically presents a good area for bears to top fish. Coin, I like a top fish on coin. If you took this one yesterday, I said I was looking for a top fish on coin, riding that SI weakness, and boy, was that beautiful. All right, JPM, I would look for a reverse back burner on JPM and XLF. Remember, the banks got hit the hardest yesterday. For the most part, the banks got hit the hardest as a sector. So that sector is where I'm going to look to short today. So for my shorting opportunities, I'm going to look at JPM or XLF. And I also don't like the way the snow chart looks. So I'm looking for top fish setups on snow. Let's go back to ES. We have 3 minutes until I think it's Lamont going live today. So we did not get over the reaction high. Now, if we go look at Bitcoin, what's happening? It's pulling back. ES and NASDAQ has to get over the high of the reaction, or Bitcoin is hosed, potentially. B-Row, I don't tell people when to sell and when to buy. I can't do that. My goal is to teach you how to fish and how to take the fish off the hook yourself. You need to have a plan before you enter a short or a long on where you're going to cover. So you make a rule. Okay, on a Bitcoin short, I will cover if 20,500 breaks as a stop loss, or let's see. If we get a 5-minute downtrend, then I would stay with that downtrend and stay in short as long as that 5-minute downtrend remains. But I would have to grab a number from over here, or psychologically round number 20,500 and say, hey, if Bitcoin breaches that, then I'm out of my short. I would say you're comfortable right now as long as ES does not break over the high of the reaction. I would be comfortable in my Bitcoin short. Okay, I covered all that. Oh, you're welcome. All right. Good morning. Hey, Tamazon, how are ya? I miss you. I hope you are well and the family's well. Yeah, ES was unable to get over 397825. That is the litmus test. Here's the litmus test, folks. As long as we're below 397825, for me, it's a top fish. And high and low of the reaction becomes your levels for the day. And if we remain within those levels all day, then it'll make for a pretty boring day. If we break one of those levels, then that could be the direction, or that would increase the probability that that's the direction of the day. You're welcome, B-Row. All right. I love you all. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I know that some of you got wrecked yesterday. I got a lot of messages from a few people. I know yesterday was hard. I want you to know every day in the market can be like that. Just be prepared for all scenarios and follow your rules. Let's say you have a credit card for expenses at work and you travel, and they say do not put liquor on the credit card. How do I know this? My sister, I think, just got that rule at her company. You can't have liquor on the company credit card. Are you going to go buy 10 bottles of vodka on the company credit card? No. You're going to follow the rules or you get fired. So you need to fire yourself as a trader if you can't follow your rules. It's the same thing as it's a business. This is a trading business. All right. If you didn't show up for work, you ran a tire store and you were supposed to open it at 8, you own it, you run it, and you don't show up that day, you'd fire your butt. Fire you. All right, same thing. Your rules, you got to do certain things every day. Use a stop loss on every trade. Don't freaking stare at your P&L. Have an entry and an exit plan before you enter. If you can't follow those rules, you need to be fired. So that's how you have to view it, because I was always a good employee. I was very compliant. And when I ran my own business, I was a hard worker. Still am a hard worker. But when I started trading, it's like, rules are rules schmools. No, the rules apply to everybody. They absolutely do. All right. Y'all have a great, great day.